Welcome back to In the Loop. I'm your host, Taylor Harmon. Today we're diving into simple, effective summer energy saving tips to help you stay cool without blowing your budget, plus a surprise bonus tip at the end. Joining me today is part of our energy service team. Welcome to the podcast, guys. Can you introduce yourself and tell us about your role here at Coweta-Fayette EMC?
Sure can, Taylor. My name is Scott Lee. I'm the manager of the energy services team. And in my role, we go out and do energy audits of our members' homes and then provide them with a report. It gives them a detailed list of different things they can do to make their home more energy efficient.
Thanks, Taylor, for inviting us this month. My name is Jimmy Adams. I'm the VP of Energy Services here at Coweta-Fayette EMC. My group is responsible for residential and commercial energy efficiency, our renewable energy and electric vehicle programs, economic development, government relations, lots of stuff. But we're glad to be here.
Thank you, guys. So let's just dive right in. We're going to start with biggest energy users. So what are some of the biggest energy users in the home during the hotter months? And is there anything we can do to cut down on their usage?
Well, I guess probably the most obvious one to everyone is your air conditioner. Mm-hmm. And that is it. I mean, that is going to be your single biggest energy user in your home in the summertime. And really the biggest things you can do to help reduce the usage around that is going to be making sure that you maintain it. You know, are you keeping the filter changed? Are you keeping the area around the outdoor unit? Are you keeping that clear of stuff? Not letting the weeds grow up in it. Keeping a good space around it. And another one is that condensate draining the moisture away. If it doesn't, your system's not going to be able to work efficiently. So those, and then so that kind of maintenance is a simple maintenance that the homeowner can take care of. And are you getting some annual or biannual maintenance conducted on the unit for you? Is somebody coming out and cleaning the coils and you're checking the refrigerant charge? You don't have to do that every 6 months or anything, but every year, every other year, you're going to want to have that type of service completed as well. Another one that not everybody has, of course, but if you've got a pool pump, that's another big energy user in the summertime. And making sure you got that pool pump on a timer and that you're just letting it run the minimum number of hours that it has to keep that water nice and clean for you. But those are two big ones.
So you talked about the AC, so let's move to thermostat settings. So how can we set and save this summer?
Setting and save that thermostat. Now, there's a lot of folks out there that think, I can adjust that thermostat up, up when I leave the house, I'm going to save a lot of money. They think that's going to really make a big difference. Well, it can and it can't. There's lots of things there that affect how well changing the thermostat or how big of an impact changing the thermostat's going to have. But, it's not, I can't say, hey, set your thermostat at this temperature and you're going to save money because there's so many differences in a house, How well is the house air sealed? How well are those ducts sealed? How well is the house insulated? How much glass have you got in your house? How many windows have you got in your house? Those types of things, all that impacts where you can set your thermostat. And then how, what temperature do you need it at to be comfortable? Everybody's different. So to say, set your thermostat at 78 like the Department of Energy tells you to do and you're going to save money on your bills, it doesn't really work. Every house is different. So and every person is different. Mm-hmm. So you got to look at it that way. But if you are going to be gone all day or for several days at a time, sure, bump it up a couple degrees. But you got to be careful how much you bump it up. Because if you bump it up, say 5 degrees, or maybe even some houses 2 degrees, you're going to have too much run time when you get back to make up for that time that you didn't run, that you cancel that out. So it's not always a good thing to do. And then also the humidity building up in your house. I mean, if you let that build up in your house, it has to run a long, long time to get that humidity out for you to be comfortable. So can't tell you exactly how many degrees to set it back when you leave. You're going to have to play with that and figure that out yourself. So there's no simple answer on thermostats, in my opinion. It's all dependent on what's going on in the house. And another thing to think about with thermostats is if you've got multiple air conditioners or you've got an air conditioner that's zoned to serve the upstairs and the downstairs, the thermostat settings on all those different thermostats, they shouldn't be any more than 2 to 3 degrees difference between them. People think I'm going to set this one for upstairs because we never go upstairs. I'm going to set it at 5 degrees above and I'm keeping it downstairs. All that ends up happening, that cause to happen is that downstairs system is going to run more trying to compensate to serve that space upstairs, it's still going to keep on running. That other system is. And with a zone system, you're using the same system to cool. It doesn't matter whether you're blowing air upstairs or you're just blowing air downstairs. You're using the same amount of energy to blow that air downstairs. If you're just blowing it down, if you're blowing it up, doesn't matter. So there's no reason to keep those two zones the same temperature. It's just because you're going to use the same amount of energy. So 2 to 3 degrees difference on zone systems or multiple HVAC systems. Just keep it there, and you're going to be a lot better off.
Okay. And what's your thoughts on smart thermostats? Do you think they're a good investment?
Yeah. If you can find a smart thermostat on sale, and you can pair that with that $50 rebate that we have right now per thermostat, you can get a smart thermostat for about what you could get just your standard thermostat. And those things are great in that they'll learn your habits, and they'll actually adjust to the outdoor temperatures on how long it's going to take to cool your house back to what you want it. So they are good. They truly are smart, and they can work for you. Again, when you don't want it to set it back too far, and you got to take all those things into consideration that we were just talking about. But yes, a smart thermostat is worth the investment when paired with our rebate and finding it on sale.
Awesome. And you mentioned, I think a lot of people think, oh, we set this degree in our house and we're going to be good. Is there any other myths that people think when it comes to their thermostats?
People think I should just turn my thermostat off and I'll leave my house. And my system's not going to run, and that's going to be great. But that's going to lead to that long, having to run a long time like I was talking about earlier. So turn the thermostat off, horrible idea when you leave the house. Lowering the setting on the thermostat, like, okay, it's 75 in the house, and I really want it to be 72. And if I set the thermostat to 65, it's going to make the system blow colder air. It doesn't work that way. Okay, so don't crank the thermostat. It doesn't. You can do it, but all you're going to end up doing is freezing yourself out of there, or maybe freezing up your coil from a long run time. So you don't want to do that. Just set it down a couple degrees, or to where you want it, and it'll eventually get it there. But setting it lower than what you really want it at isn't going to make it get there any faster. And then another one that we run into, and we do run into this one quite often, is that people will set the fan setting on the thermostat to on instead of auto. And what that means is that fan just runs all the time. So that's using more energy than, say, your ceiling fan would use to circulate air. And it's also not necessarily blowing right on you. And if your ducts, let's say your ducts are in the attic, it's circulating that air that's in the house through the attic and then back into the house without cooling it, without dehumidifying it, and that could actually cause your system to run longer. So leave that fan on auto, not on, and use your ceiling fans or a box fan if you want to circulate air around the house.
Well, those are some great tips. So speaking of ceiling fans, let's move on to that. Should ceiling fans be used all the time or only when someone is in the room?
Really, the only time to use them is when somebody's in the room. It's not going to make the room cooler. What it does is it makes the room feel cooler because it's moving air across our skin. And as it does that, it creates that effect, makes us feel like the room is cooler. It's actually taking any moisture, any sweat that might be in the surface of our skin or starting to build up there, it swipes it off of it. It's kind of like evaporative cooling. So that's when you want to run a fan. It's when you're in that room.
And does it matter what direction the ceiling fan is going, and why does that matter?
I think it's counterclockwise, but the way you really want it, you'll be able to tell in the summertime. You want to be able to feel that air blowing on you, like we were just talking about, the air moving across your skin. That's where the benefit of a ceiling fan comes. And if you can't feel it hitting you, switch the direction of it. I don't know if that's counterclockwise or clockwise, but whichever one it is.
Yeah.
All right? Have it do that for you. Blow down on you.
And are there any other types of fans or ventilation that can help during these hot months?
Yeah, I talked earlier about humidity. If you're cooking in the house, you've got pots on the stove, and when you take a hot shower, if you'll run those ventilation fans, if you've got a fan, that the exhaust fan over the oven, and the exhaust fan that's in the bathroom, run those. If they're venting outside, that's going to help. It's going to get that humidity out of the house, and it's going to pull some of that extra heat out of the house, and that'll lessen bring down the load on your HVAC system. You can get rid of that extra humidity, get rid of some of that extra heat.
Awesome. And let's move on to windows and curtains. How much of an impact do windows have on our cooling cost?
They can have a lot. It really depends on what direction those windows are facing is a big one. North-facing windows don't hurt us as much in the summertime because we don't get any direct sun shining through those. But, those east-facing windows in the morning as the sun's coming up, sun's beaming in them. The south-facing windows all day long. The west-facing windows into the late afternoon. So, yeah, if you can get some heavy curtains on those, some blinds on those, that's going to help a lot. Yeah, they can for sure.
Gotcha. And are window upgrades worth considering for long-term savings?
Now, when I hear window upgrade, the first thing that pops into my head is changing my windows out. And I would say, unless you've got single pane, clear glass, really leaky windows, replacing windows is not going to. You're not going to get a good return on your investment there at all, because that's going to be expensive, very expensive to do. There's some houses out there, of course, that don't have a whole lot of windows in a small window area. Yeah, return on investment should be shorter. But the bigger houses with lots of windows, no way. Don't bother doing it. Get you some curtains. Get you some blinds. If there are clear glass, houses built before 2000, some window tinting can be added to that to cut down on the solar heat gain on them, on those windows. But replacing windows most of the time is going to be not worth your money.
But you would say a window tint would be?
Adding a window tint.
Yeah.
But to be honest with you, heavy curtains.
Heavy curtains, yeah.
Heavy curtains are gonna be your best bet in closing those when the sun's trying to shine through them. That's gonna be your simplest, most cost-effective way to do it.
Cool. Well, thank you, Scott. And let's move on to why our rates rock. So, Jimmy, we're going to talk about ours and what makes Coweta-Fayette EMC's pricing structure more member-friendly.
Great question. First of all, our members tell us that reliability and rates are the number 1 and 2 issues that are important to them. So we invest a lot of time and effort here addressing those 2 concerns. When it comes to summer rates, the best news is that our summer rates are exactly the same as our fall, winter, and spring rates. Our residential rates are fixed year-round.
Yeah, that's awesome. And are there tools or programs members can use to track their energy usage and spot saving opportunities?
There are. There's a portal that you can enter into our website that you can investigate your usage hourly, daily. But I think our most effective tool is having Scott and his folks come out to your home and perform an energy assessment. They'll spend a couple hours in your home and they'll look at the issues that Scott just finished detailing. No charge, of course.
Yeah.
But what that does is it helps our members become more energy efficiency conscious, and it shows them the value for the energy they're purchasing from us.
Can you go into the savings and how listeners can take advantage of co-op member benefits this summer?
Sure. Our business model is different than that of an investor-owned utility. We're a member-owned, not-for-profit cooperative. Our board of directors are elected by our members who set policy that we follow. I guess the largest of our expenses is wholesale energy. That's a big portion of our total cost of doing business. So we set the rates based to recoup those, of course, to cover our operating expenses and to set money aside for storms, large events like that. Any profits that we earn above that operating cost, we call them margins. We return those to the members. Over the last 30 years, we've returned $53.9 million to our members in the form of capital credit payments. So being a member of a co-op, you take advantage of lower rates than investor-owned utilities, plus you receive capital credit checks from us.
Yep, that is correct.
We feel that our members compare us to the local investor-owned utilities. So a lot of our internal goals are based on how we stack up when it comes to reliability and operating cost rates. The Georgia Public Service Commission documents the electric rates of all the utilities in the state of Georgia, and they document them for winter and summer rates. And so we like to compare our rates, and without boring everyone with a lot of numbers, per the Georgia Public Service Commission website, for the winter of 2025, our rates average 13.5 cents per kilowatt hour. For the similar usage, average 15 cents per kilowatt hour. That equates to about a $23 per month savings to our member. When you look at the Georgia PSC website for the summer rates, the rates for summer of 2025 have not been posted. So looking back at last summer of 2024, our rates averaged 13 cents per kilowatt hour. And for the average usage that the PSC calculates these numbers, that's a savings of $90 per month for our members for each of the summer months. And while I'm talking about the Georgia Public Service Commission website and their comparisons of electric rates, it just so happens that they also compare the natural gas marketers' rates. And many of our members know, some don't, but most do, that Coweta-Fayette EMC owns a natural gas subsidiary, True Natural Gas, that can market natural gas statewide, but particularly to Coweta-Fayette EMC members. So if you go to that same website and look at the natural gas marketers' prices, you may be surprised to learn that True Natural Gas is consistently lower than the big natural gas marketer. Why it's important to Coweta-Fayette EMC members is, as a wholly owned subsidiary, True is a for-profit corporation, but the profits are given back or paid back to the parent company, Coweta-Fayette EMC. Those profits we use to offset our expenses and our wholesale power costs. So if you're a natural gas customer, you're also working to keep your power bill lower in the summertime.
Well, thank you so much, Jimmy and Scott, for joining me today. And I did want to mention on our YouTube channel, Coweta-Fayette EMC, we do have a playlist. It's called Watts Matter. And here we have lots of videos that go into the things that we were speaking about today.
Yeah, like we were talking about, not knowing what temperature to set your thermostat on because you don't know how well you insulated your house is, how well air sealed, how well sealed your ducts are. We've got videos on our YouTube channel that talk about just that, how to, where are the common air sealing points that you may find at your house and need to be taken care of? Where are the major duct leaks that you need to seal up? And what level of insulation do you need to have in your attic, and can you fix it? We've got all those things addressed in our YouTube videos. Anytime you want to do a home energy audit, you just call into the customer service number. They'll fill out a request for you and forward it on to the right people here at Coweta-Fayette EMC, and we'll get you on the schedule.
Thank you guys again for joining us today. And remember to stay safe, stay cool, and stay plugged in with your co-op. Thank you for listening to another episode of In the Loop. I'm Taylor Harmon, and we'll see you next time.